My name is Rhapsody, his name is sneakyteak, and welcome back to your dose of the ladder streak for this week. How's it going, Teak?
It's going awesome. I'm ready for some silent. I need the practice.
I
always need the practice.
You've shared that apparently Silent's done a little bit worse for you recently.
Yeah, and it's standard variance, but it's an interesting thing to watch when you play a fair bit of Ascension 20 Slay the Spire. Historically, Silent is my most consistent class, which is actually pretty rare. Most people who play a lot of A20 Heart runs, Silent is one of their less consistent classes, and Silent has been historically my most. When I did Focus February, back in February, I think towards the end, Silent was pushing 65% A20 win rate for me, and like maybe better now. Which is not meant to be a bragging thing. It's meant to be a foil for the fact that I'm on a losing streak right now with the Silent. And so, but you have those moments, you have those peaks and troughs, and it could just be standard variance, or maybe you've accidentally regressed part of your play, like you're over picking aggressive front-loaded cards in the early game or something. But yeah, so I'm excited to play Silent this week because it's an opportunity for me to introspect the play and to figure it out with you. That's great.
Do you find that different losing runs as each character tend to lose in different positions? I know we've talked about the Watcher often losing near the start of Act 2 before. Do you find that with the Silent, and how did that express itself in your runs?
That is a great question. Let me think about... So I lost one run. We talked about it last week, actually. That was the 22 health Silent. The one that was...
the Wraith form as well as the Vampire? Yeah. Sorry, the Wraith
form, apparitions, and bites.
Yep.
Yeah. And the reason that it lost is it couldn't manage Woke Bloke. It was very, very just simple counter pick situation. I wasn't ready for 2 phases. I could burst in 6 turns, but not over 8 or whatever. And so kind of very precise decks like that can end up struggling at A20 because of multiple Act 3 bosses. But yeah, I do think when I get on losing streaks, they tend to be losing in the same places. And there's often a chance for me to realize, oh, I'm losing a lot in Act 2, and it's because I'm not counterpicking Act 2 fights early enough in Act 1, and then I change that. Or I'm not snowballing through elites hard enough, and then I change that.
I ask this because I have an assumption that Silent, out of all of the classes getting to the... Silent's deaths would be significantly skewed against the heart in comparison to the other characters. The access to weaken and the access to enough properly scaling options that are already incentivized by the access of the class itself and the amount of draw options you can get in Silent make it seem like it might be able to perform more consistently in that location, especially with specifically the access to weak in mind.
Silent does not, for me, Silent does not lose to the heart very often.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, my deaths with Silent are Act 2 failures or Act 2 boss fight counter picks, a death to one of the Act 3 bosses, or a situation to where there's not enough front load to deal with hallway fights, so they kind of hemorrhage and you don't get to take enough challenges. But usually if Silent gets to the heart, she's winning that fight, absolutely. Single phase high damage scaling fights are premium for Silent.
We're going to be looking to get into some of those. We do start each run cursed now. We finally have the Ascender's Bane. So I'm sorry to say,
we're in the double digits.
But we can't draft Clash anymore. Not only because we're not the Ironclad, but
it is a lot worse when you get Ascender's Bane, that's for sure.
It's just significantly worse. Oh, you want a 4 elite path with no rests as the Silent?
Yeah, that sounds like a great way to... I mean, if we're looking to start a season 4, that's the way to do it.
There's a hot 2 elites with a rest either after the Emerald or before the first elite, as well as one in the late.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Whereas we have Guardian.
Yes, we have Guardian at the top as well.
So that's usually not too much of a concern. If there was like a slime boss, I might be more excited to have a merchant later in the act. This is a piece of tech that I've started using more, and I haven't talked about it really on our collabs much. But I used to say that the best path through Act 1 was always fight, merchant, fire, elite. That's like the perfect start, right? You get 3 card choices, you have enough money for something in the shop to even yourself out or a potion, and then you start taking elites. I've started pathing explicitly into late shops more often for certain characters and certain runs, just as a way to make a later stage adjustment. And then if there's no card that I need, I can get a relic. And I've quite liked it, actually.
Well, we could work a little bit of that in here if we want to take some early fights here, take the Emerald Elite, and then decide afterwards which path we go down, because we could just go for one rest, as well as this late Elite and a late question mark after the shop.
Silent is the one class explicitly where I don't know that it's consistently correct. And the reason is that Silent can struggle with front load. So the early shop is really important for her, I think.
Ooh, but what if we lost all the gold for a random rare colorless card?
It's a fair point.
We're no longer, or rather, we're not yet choked on potions, so we could take full value from the potions.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. Actually, does potions ever let us take 4 elites?
Oh,
I know we laughed about this path. Is there a way to bail out from some of them?
We can bail out from one of them there, and then one at the very end if we desperately wanted to as well. There are just fights in the middle as well, so we will be like experiencing attrition there as well. It would depend on the potions, and it would also depend on the card. It's possible that this was like the bomb, and then we go that way, or apotheosis.
That is wild. So once again, we find ourselves listing out rare colorless cards in our head to think about what they might be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Panache is like a thing that we could probably take advantage of with Silent.
Sadistic nature is theoretically useful.
Yeah, it is. I've seen it put in some good work. Sadistic nature, wave of the hand is a pretty funny combo if you've ever had that.
I believe I saw that in your talk to the hand juggernaut run.
Oh man, that run was crazy.
We can talk about that more near the end of the thing, I believe.
I'm thinking about this, and I'm not trying to filibuster here. I genuinely think that if we can set ourselves up to go towards the right, that's not a bad path. I like 2 fires, 2 elites, but the right side is potentially 4 elites, and it's potentially 3 elites and a fire. It's not significantly less fires than that mid path, and if we can take a start which lets us do it. So that's what I'm thinking about, right? Is it ever potions specifically for that side? And then we would go far as this right path. Fight question mark merchant, fight question mark elite.
Oh, that's the part that's not jiving with me in my head, because I was thinking like if we do want to go that path, we want to go for the early fights here, but that gives us the ability to decide late whether or not we go for the 4 or whether we cut out to this way.
Then let's take a rare colorless card. I'm in.
Okay.
And that's a high option start too.
Ooh. That's apotheosis right there.
Do you want to do the apotheosis?
Mm-hmm.
Apotheosis is also potentially good for the right side path. And the reason is it's very good in Lagavulin and Tri-Sentries, and it means that we can get away with less rest sites.
Yes, I am more comfortable with that path now with the apotheosis online. Especially because
I'm not saying that it's right, but it might be right.
There are a lot of cards that we can now draft with it in mind that they will be upgraded by the apotheosis during that fight. 14.
There's a weird turn here where you go apotheosis strike. C6, 14, 10. I guess that's
we
2
take
more
8
damage.
instead of
yeah, you're right.
I was thinking of that one, but
no, we could take 6. You could kill the back line. We could have taken 6 there, but this way.
Oh right, yeah, they have the same health. Right.
Almost clever.
Ooh,
oh my
take
gosh.
A poison stab, get us some scaling damage.
Yes, I love these 2 cards. This puts us a lot closer to being able to go right.
Let's take a couple more fights and see if that eventuates. I love this opening hand right here because that is the worst thing that could have happened, but we were so well equipped for it.
It was the perfect hand. It's the power of Bag of Prep.
Bag of Prep's so good. I feel like I get really excited about certain relics that I see in the Downfall series. Obviously, all of the new relics and also Bag of Prep. Because I'm running thin decks a lot in that series right now.
Oh, and then you get just... Bag of Prep is just good. It's just really good. It's just really good. I think that one of those turns, the second turn, we should do it. Yeah, we should do it. And we just picked up a ghost in a jar?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going right.
And then we go out that path, yeah? Do we want to take an early question mark? Because we do kind of have the cards we're equipped for, and events could really help, especially upgrading the apotheosis.
I think we should. The downside is that a lot of events in Act 1 do damage to you. but the upside is that some of them let you lose max health like that, and we could get more cards or something. One thing that I'm keeping a close eye on is I think it might have been turn 2 in that last hallway fight. I think it was correct to do Apotheosis on that turn to get a better block the next turn. And there's going to be really weird turns like that with mid-game Apotheosis to where it's like slightly more advantaged because of our next turn draw to play it out.
Yeah, I was considering only the immediate. Do we need a Sucker Punch, or can we run without it?
Gosh. You know, I like Sucker Punch. And the reason is a lot of people, I think myself included, avoid Sucker Punch because Silent has 2 other much better sources of weakness than this. Crippling Cloud and Leg Sweep. But you don't always find them. Those are uncommon cards, right? So, especially with Apotheosis, that's perfect weak coverage. I think it's pretty good. Be careful. How much health can you actually afford here?
At least 7. Well, we've found our heart plan.
Oh my gosh, it's the perfect turn 1. Oh man. Oh, it's very exciting. And we have an explosive pot, but can we get away with not using it?
We'll see if we can get away with not using it, but obviously it's always in the back corner.
These are 2 days delete still, right? It's A18 when they go to 3. Yeah. So our redraw is not too bad.
Gotta love being able to do that. Very little damage taken on that turn, and that's usually the bad one. God,
once that front one is dead, then we're really quite safe.
Yeah, exactly. 1 defender turn is already only take 1 damage.
And Tori is meaningfully limiting input. I think we should explosive pot. Oh, we got a full block here, so it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm considering taking 1 damage not to throw a dazed back in the cycle. Is that too much?
I think that's too much. With 20 card draw here, yeah, I don't think we have to do it. I think it's a clever thought, though.
We can now leave the frontliner to kill itself, or we can kill it manually in order to prevent 3 dazeds. 2 dazeds at this point.
Man, it almost feels worth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think so. Barely, but as long as we're drawing 1 defend, we're almost not taking damage at all. It's the turns where we draw no defense at all.
They're pretty evenly spaced out so far. As long as we get the kill on that frontliner next turn and then not the defend in this hand. Oh!
Yep. It's perfect. Well established.
You just got to call for them, and then they happen. I don't know what to tell you, T.
So I will say that a few hundred or 1,000 hours of Slay the Spire ago, I would have never considered this right side path. And look at us now.
I mean,
with the meat on the bone.
I gotta say, coming into Slay the Spire, this is definitely the path I would always consider from the very start. And then going up through the Ascensions, I would just die a lot on this path.
But I mean, it's a good question. This is particularly for those of you who watch to try to become more consistent. Do you want this prepared? I don't think it's bad.
It gets upgraded by the Apotheosis. It makes it a lot easier for me to take here.
Honestly, I think it's a reasonable pick. And it gets us closer to Grand Finale plays.
Thank heck we didn't play it in the last location.
Yeah, it's almost definitely coming out here, right? Yeah.
I'm not really going to delay on that one.
No.
Especially without the
nice save
spreading that we had in the first. What was the dagger spray rather that we didn't get from the first one? I can just take an escape plan here.
I think the escape plan's okay. It's kind of negative for Gremlin Knob, but I do think it's good elsewhere. Like helps us play into Tori, helps us for Guardian, especially with the upgrade. I like it. I like it. And there is the man of the hour. Oh, turn 1 Apotheosis. Yo!
4 turns of weakness.
Yo, that's awesome. Okay, so while you maneuver this out to complete this thought, there was something that I heard another very good player of Monster Train say once about Monster Train strategy, which was do not ask yourself. How did he phrase it? He said, "Don't ask yourself, do I die if I take this challenge?" Talking about trials in that game. Ask yourself, how can I survive this challenge? Right? So it's a phrasing there, right? How can I take this? What choice do I have to make in order to be able to win this? Playing around the meat on the bone here is super nice too. We'll be in an okay position. We're gonna be fine.
Yep.
And I think about Slay the Spire the same way. I like to look at Axe and yes, and see like the 4 elites and ask myself, what do I need to find for that to be the correct path? And maybe it isn't. You know, maybe you never get there, but it's such a high potential value path that you've got to think about it.
You certainly have to.
I think we take Feather, by the way. I think it's worth.
Yeah? I mean, we're not going to be doing a lot of upgrading in the rest sites because of the Apotheosis anyway, but is it still Feather? Because there's enough cards that we do want to upgrade before the Apotheosis comes out.
The reason I like Feather here is it's partly for this act, in that we're going to be bouncing around midpoint HP, and that might put us in a position to where we don't need to rest before Guardian, and then we can get like the Apotheosis upgraded or the Deadly Poison or whatever. And also just having more sustain allows us to start to get more picky about the block cards that we add to the deck, which is really good. So a lesson that I learned from some of my silent failures is that I ended up dying because part of my deck wanted to not take damage by being intangible. Part of the deck was kind of trying to scale with regular block. Part of the deck was doing Piercing Wail. And there ended up being so much of it that instead of being a bag of a lot of tools, it was just fighting itself. And so if we can be more picky with block selection, then and just manage the health that we lose with all of our sustain choices, I think that'll be better for our end game deck.
We're saving the Essence of Steel for the Guardian fight, right?
I don't know. This looks pretty good right here, right?
Yeah, blocks a
what do we need to get
amount.
down to for halfway, though? 32.
32, yeah. So
I
we'd be
guess if we
accepting
took
7 here.
29 here for 12, go up to 41. So we would be healing if that's all that we take.
We probably do take more damage in this fight. We haven't got much more poison left in the cycle. So.
I think it's worth playing Essence of Steel here.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm into it. We could purposefully take a bit of damage in the next cycle too, depending on what happens. Ooh, you want to burst to prepared?
Yep.
Love it.
Made sure the defends are in the next cycle as well. So there's one other thing we could do, which is burst that escape plan looking for poison.
It's not a bad idea. Burst. Hey, it was worth a shot. Getting to the deadly poison there like really locks down the fight. Or we do have a deadly poison.
And it's at the bottom of the deck. I love at the very least it definitely seems in retrospect the potion was the best choice. Alright, we got the kill.
Certainly simplified the end of the fight. Whoa. Now we're gonna get real picky.
We don't need to take heal hook for extra damage when we already have this amount of poison in the deck. I think we pass.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think that's a meaningful contribution. Right or left? I think right.
I think we can do right.
I think right is better. I think we got one more guaranteed relic.
Okay.
Oh, is it the question marks?
It's the question marks. You know me, Teak. It's the question marks.
I do. I know, and I should have known better. But Teak. And you made them such a nice lavender color. I mean, of course.
They're so appealing. We still have both burst and... No, we don't have burst. I thought we had burst. Uh-oh.
I think we drew it turn 1. But we're golden. And we have Tori too, right? Yeah. Actually, we'd love to take a couple points of damage in this fight if we could. Specifically 3 is the magic number.
Specifically
Can we do that
3.
with weird Apotheosis play on this turn?
It might be no Apotheosis play on this turn, right? We take a defend here and we block for 4.
Tori. We take 1. But that might be okay.
We escape plan, we block for 3.
Take 6. Wait, how about this? Wait, how about this? Play Apotheosis, play Escape Plan, and then don't Deadly Poison, and try to take 1 damage every turn until 32. I'm serious.
Should we use a strike still? Like, do we not scale here at all?
Think so. I don't think we do anything here.
Okay.
This is some real micro. But
here's 1 damage that we get to take here as well now.
What's our next hand? It's got less.
It's got a defend in it, certainly.
Too much block. Crap. Wait, oh, Sucker Punch makes it 6 is too much. Okay, well, that's fine.
Okay.
Next turn.
We got this. We got this. All right, and there we go. We can also attack
And
if
then,
we want to.
oh, Deadly Poison puts them at 9. That's perfect. And then we're guaranteed to win next turn. Look at that value. Rhapsody.
I like it. I like it.
These are pro strats.
This is good value.
Yeah.
Huh. You want an all-out attack? We're missing AoE in this deck right now.
We are. So this is a really good time to start asking the question, what are we dying to in Act 2? And how do we solve it? And I do think that this deck is pole vaulting towards a death against cultists, or at least a ton of damage against them.
Yep.
Not as good as Dagger Spray, though, because of how good Dagger Spray is for birds. And in general, Dagger Spray is preferable, but we don't know if we'll see it, right? So I think that all-out attack may be actively bad for our fight against Guardian. And I think that we have enough fights left in this act and enough strong relics that we can get away with not picking it.
Really?
But I could go either way. I think the fact that we still have a fight and an elite in this act, and that we have the relic bar that we already have, lets us be a bit inefficient in specifically birds and cultists for the sake of having a better deck overall.
Okay, let me ask you counter to that, right? How many resources can we really think that we are going to get in the next couple spaces that will help us more against the cultists?
That's true. Okay, so Piercing Whale is pretty common. It would be very good. Dagger Spray is solid. I think better than All Out Attack because of its utility in other fights. And because of the lack of the random discard. Random discard in particular can be pretty brutal with something like a Pyramid. We could find from the boss a Corpse Explosion, and I think we would take that pretty eagerly.
Definitely.
And we already have Burst, right? Crippling Cloud is a thing that we could find. But you're right.
Caltrops?
It definitely. Oh, yeah. I love Caltrops for that. Yeah, Caltrops is. Although, how are we scaling up enough block? Well, maybe you're okay. Oh, we got a Specimen. Wait, maybe we're fine. Specimen is not bad. If we're already scaling up a bunch of poison, that's a legitimate way to deal with those fights.
Specimen's super slow for dealing with those fights, though. Like, it feels like on turn 3, I'm taking 50 damage, and I really want some of them down before that.
Yeah, turn 3 is 30. But, okay, but you know, the thing about Specimen that I think is easy to forget is you don't have to kill them with poison. So if we have other good burst, because of Specimen, it could be we're consistently bursting up 10 or 20 poison, and then we also pick up, you know, the Glass Knife style card, and that's good enough.
So are you going to say possibly Terror, then, for the ability to, like, hasten the death of a poisoned target?
Interesting. I'm trying not to take anything at all, is ultimately where I'm kind of trying to go. But I'm open to either of those options, and with the Apotheosis in the deck that we have, I would probably take All Out Attack over Terror, because I think that we're already going to be pretty good at the single target.
I trust you. I want to see how this works out.
All Out Attack would have been great here too, but I think we made the right choice. I think this is Apotheosis turn, right?
Yeah. So if I Sucker Punch the backline, I get them weakened for 2 turns, and I only take 1 damage here.
That's pretty good.
Thank you, Tori.
GG, Tori. Sorry, I just punched my microphone. Actually, Discord might not have picked that up at all.
It did not even slightly.
That's awesome.
I'm going to make sure we get our money back.
Ooh, maybe we're going to get some healing here too. Oh, we can definitely finesse this slime for more heals. It begins.
Take 1.
Yes.
Those.
Meat on the bone finesse. It feels really good.
We've even got a little bit of poison on them starting out. We'll just pass that turn. That's 7. We'll take 1. Oh, come on. Please. One more turn of 1. There we go. And sorted. We did it, Teak.
GG. Uh-oh. Next turn's all slimes. Don't be that way. Okay, good.
Perfect.
Right? Do you ever take a Predator with Mummified Hand?
I'm very happy to take Predator here. I'm also kind of keen on the Flechette a little bit if we want to stay kind of in the world of more skills for our damage rather than attacks.
You know what Flechettes does very specifically too? It makes us better at birds. Although with Tori, maybe birds are already okay, but it's no tungsten rod, right?
It's not just with Tori, but also with the amount of access to weaken and weaken for multiple turns. I think we're pretty good against the birds already. I'm happy for the Predator.
I think I'm into it. And you know what Predator really opens up? Snecko-Eye.
Snecko-Eye. Love a good Predator Snecko-Eye deck.
Which I want open.
Oh.
Take 2 against the knob. Uh-oh.
Do we... No, we don't need to Ghost in a Jar yet.
I don't think so, right? Yeah. And we're not getting Volned here. And we have meat on the bone.
Oh,
and we picked up Eternal Feather.
My man just putting in the work right now.
No lie. Well, it's got to be Apotheosis, right?
It's just now is it the Ghost in a Jar, because we've already got the benefit of the meat on the bone coming out of this fight. We want to upgrade Apotheosis soon.
Do we win next turn?
Not reliably. We've got a Sucker Punch and we'll have the deck upgraded.
Trike, let's see, 6, 5, 11, 37, 26 plus 9 more. I think we win next turn almost always. I think we can get away without playing this Ghost in the Jar. Ghost in the Jar is so strong that if we're confident we get out of this act, I'm like ready to carry it to the heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm keen on it. I am clearly more worried about our health total at the moment. Strike Dummy really helps us with some of our damage at the absolute least. There's the Dagger Spray.
There it is.
Hey Teak, you want to go to a question mark?
We could do it. We could do it. We could go. We could go to the question mark.
Hey!
Oh, good one.
Okay, I think this should be a remove.
Yes, I love strike remove right here.
Love it.
Even with the strike dummy, I'm into it. Look at that relic bar, Raps, on silent.
It's a strong one. It's certainly a strong one. Give me...
Ridiculous.
Oh, man. There are so many things that we could get from this that would be great. I'm trying to think, what would be the worst 3 rares that we could be offered here that we would be real sad about?
Real sad rares. What is the worst 3 set of rares? You've asked me a question that I like explicitly do not answer on my stream, but I will try. I will try. I think it's like Pools of the Trade.
Is it After Image?
After Image is actually fine because it makes it easier to finesse around Tori and meat on the bone. Like After Image can be pretty good. And with Burst, it's getting some value. I think After Image is okay here. Quite good for the heart. Trying to think what else is frequently empty, right? I don't know. Wow, yikes. Yeah.
Why?
Oh man, if we had a malaise here, you know, we'd be taking 2.
Oh, it'd
That's
be
a
so
good one.
sweet.
See, that's all. I just keep thinking of rares that would be good. I'm like, die. You know, I don't mind that. Glass Knife. We have space for that. Doppelganger. It could be useful and it's cool with Burst. Malaise, incredible. Especially with Tori. Wraith Form, instant click. You know, it's like this. It's hard to think of rares that are particularly empty here for us.
Whoops. I thought I was going to finesse that, but the neutralizer's dealing 4 damage, not 3. Alright, we got this.
You know, so the real reason for the Ghost in a Jar hold, by the way, is, I mean, obviously it would be great to hold to the heart, but I think a Ghost in a Jar is enough to feel like twice as confident for Bronze Automaton.
Certainly.
That's a big one because the orbs can really mess up your scaling plan a lot of the time.
Would we take a second burst?
That's a good question. That's an interesting one. And Burst doesn't do what you want it to do. So
it's extremely sad the first time I figured that out.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would still take it. Oh, I didn't think about Bullet Time. Bullet Time is awkward.
Yeah, Bullet Time isn't really necessary in this deck, I don't think.
Is this just Adrenaline?
Is it, or is it Glass Knife? Adrenaline's real good with bursts in the deck, obviously, already. We have the Apotheosis that immediately upgrades it. It helps offset the cost of some of the stuff that we have to do early, especially if we're going to be doing things with draw. We're probably going to look for a few backflips, maybe a backflip or two, some whoops in this deck, and acrobatics. It helps offset the cost of those as we dig through the deck for Apotheosis, which has huge value, certainly. I'm looking at that Glass Knife, and I'm like, what this says is kill the backline task, Slaver. And it says that regardless of whether or not we can afford to play Predator with other defends on the same turn, right?
And we're not perfect at that yet, and our potion bar doesn't say that. You know, we're not carrying a fire pot, right? So, and if we take a Glass Knife, then Glass Knife pretty quickly can become all of your front-loaded damage, basically, right? Get an upgrade for that.
I'm thinking between that and Predator, a lot of the time we can just ignore the...
I think I'm good with either of those choices. I think Adrenaline is the tempo pick and plays nicer with Burst, and I think Glass Knife makes us slightly better at continuing to snowball elites, especially with the bar that we had. Adrenaline, I think, comes out ahead if we had a slightly different deck, right? Like if we had a Malaise in the deck or something, then it gets even more exciting. But I'm good with either. I'm good with either one.
So it goes on me then. Thanks.
This is just, look, it's Friday for me, you know? I'm just here. I'm here to offer color commentary on the card clicking and to encourage you to take 4 elite no fire paths with Silent.
Look, I am super down and glad that we actually took that path.
That was an awesome start. It's just the wildest Silent start I've seen in a while.
It's less that I think we want it and more that I think we need it.
Speaking of,
this is by the way, a lot of the time I will get asked the question, why not pop the fruit juice instantly? This is an example of why not. Another example is obviously you remove half of your max HP and then next space, or rather you gain 5 and then move in the next space and you lose half of your max HP. You've lost half of the fruit juice value, but this is definitely part of the reason.
I think we can take this Sacred Corn chip, and it's pretty wild. Double Ghost, double dupe makes up for the energy deprivation, I think, and Silent has access to Alchemize.
Oh, really?
I look at our relic bar too.
I strongly dislike both of the other options. I'm looking at Velvet Choker right now, but I'm so sad that I got the escape plan and the prepared in here with the burst, because that gets a lot harder to manage.
We could take Choker and fix it, but
we're not going to take Choker. I think one of the big reasons I don't want to take Choker here is not just the burst, but also Mummified Hand. We are obviously going to be playing into this floor as we're going to be going to shops, so we can have opportunities to pick up some powers.
No powers yet, but there's our boss energy once we find them. Yeah.
Oh, it'll happen.
Powers too, Silent loves, so perfect.
We'll have to get those online in the video that is linked in the description down below. Hope to see you there.